24 cycles.
Hi and welcome to 24 Hertz. I'm Kevin O'Byrne, founder editor of Car Stereo and Security magazine way back when here in the UK, and I'm going to be bringing you a number of videos over a period of time, starting with, well, a product review. What we have here is Alpine's new CDE-123R. Nice unit, very well connected, that's the main thing. It's a CD player, radio, but a lot more than that, because you can connect mobile phones to it, and not just the Nokia and the iPhone that is official Alpine connectable. It will also do, thanks to its media transfer protocol, a number of phones, including the Sony Ericsson range, Blackberry phones, HTC, several. It also has some very nice extra features. Now the CDE-123R is officially designated as a works with iPhone, iPod and works with Nokia. These are the official partnerships that Alpine have. But as we've said, because of the MTP protocol, it will work with a bunch of other devices as well. Media Transfer Protocol, or MTP, was devised by Microsoft as a way of transferring files, picture files originally under Picture Transfer Protocol, from a digital camera to a PC. It was then extended so you could use it to transfer any files, and music files and so on, to a PC. However, a number of companies took it on from there, worked with Microsoft and said, well, hey, why do we need to develop our own data transfer protocol any further when we've got a perfectly good one here? As a result, we actually started to get some kind of a standard, and a number of big manufacturers took it on. The beauty about MTP, since it's a standard, is if it works rather like Bluetooth with one make or brand, it should work with several others that adhere to the MTP protocol. So, the nice thing about Alpine is although they say ours will work with Nokia smartphones, and that's the official line, actually it will work with several others. The one thing we did find when using Blackberries, for example, is you do need to set it to mass storage mode. You need to set the phone to mass storage mode to get it to work. But it worked perfectly well once you did that and connected it all up. The iPod and the iPhone don't in fact support MTP at this stage, but Alpine have built in their own protocol as required by Apple, so this will work just fine and you can plug it in. You'll need to buy the extra cable, which you may well have already anyway, for the USB to iPod connection, but they do supply quite a lengthy USB cable in the pack, and there is a USB connector at the front and at the rear. So the rear connector you would wire in permanently, for example, if you wanted to wire in an iPod cable permanently. If you just want to connect your iPod or smartphone temporarily, then there's a lovely little connector, and I really like this. I'm going to show this to you now. You see the flap here? Well, in fact you can't barely see it at all. All I've got to do is flick it like that and it's open. Close it, just flick it back. Now that is a nice little touch. Now, using the front or the rear USB connector, you can connect MP3 players, smartphones, or even simple pen drives with some tracks on it. Just flick it open, place it in, and it'll read the tracks. It'll start searching for the tracks. Once it sees what's on there, it'll come up and start playing. Now on this one I haven't actually got the USB tags set up for them, but it would show the tags if I had the tracks set up. Now if you pull it out, probably not advisable, but actually doesn't cause a problem. We've mentioned the USB connections, but one of the things that is worth adding is the current that you can pull through the front or rear connector. Alpine stated as 500 milliamps, but we reckon you can pull about up to an amp from it. Now, why that's important is because some of the hard drive based media playing devices will draw at times quite a bit of current, and it is worth having that headroom, because if you start losing headroom you'll start losing potentially audio quality. Oh, and incidentally, almost taking it for granted these days, but it is USB 2.0 compatible, which does mean faster searching, faster in every sense than the old format. So as well as the front USB connector, there's also a USB connector at the rear, which you can select separately. And that's where you would wire in more permanently, for example, an iPod device, and maybe use the front one to temporarily connect a smartphone, for example. As you'd expect from an Alpine, iPhone, iPod compatibility was very good. Searching was fast, no problems whatsoever. Another nice little feature they've incorporated on here is the ability to control the iPod or iPhone either from the head unit itself or from the unit, so it can be connected and switched to passenger mode, which allows perhaps a rear-seated passenger to select tracks. For those of you looking to use your phone hands-free with this unit, it will take the Parrot Bluetooth kit. This Alpine model, like many of their range, has a 4x50 watt built-in amplifier, which is going to give you something around 4x25 RMS, and it has 3 sets of pre-outs, so you can add amplifiers, external processors and so on. Having said that, there's some nice digital processing built into this unit. There's a number of setup options, and you get to them by holding the audio setup button for a couple of seconds. That will take you into a whole variety of anything from Bluetooth setup to audio setup. The Alpine unit, in common with many of today's units, has digital equalization and low pass and high pass filtering built in, which makes system building or even just tweaking using the built-in amplifier very simple without adding additional processors. Hold down the audio setup button for a couple of seconds and it will go into audio because I already had it set there afterwards. Press enter, it'll come in this case you select, it probably would come into factory EQ originally because that's what's preset at the factory. Go into 3-band EQ, you can then go and set bass, mid and treble settings. So if we go into mid, for example, we can set the width or the Q of the tonal change that we want to apply at any one of 4 frequency points. Same applies to the high or treble and bass settings. The other thing that it allows you to do on the subwoofer side of things is to switch the phase of the subwoofer from 0 to 180 degrees. That can be useful if you find there's issues once you put the install in place and you're getting some cancellations. You can also set the system so that the subwoofer level is controlled slightly differently from the main level. It's quite useful if you want to be able to hear the subwoofer even at low level. There's a system 1 and a system 2 setting that allows you to tweak that. It'll make more sense when you read the manual, but it's quite a handy little feature. If you want to keep things simple, you can select one of the 10 factory preset EQs. The high pass and the low pass filter gives you filter points at 60, 80, 120 and 160 Hertz, and with a second order slope, so that's 12 dB per octave slope. Now that's going to be a little bit limiting in some situations, but I tell you what, it's a lot more than you'd have got a few years ago on a set at this price level. Notice down here in the corner an auxiliary input. Not an unusual feature nowadays, but it's worth pointing out that as well as being able to connect MP3 players, you can also connect a portable navigation device, so voice guidance will come through the main speakers. With the auxiliary in, you can set auxiliary mix, which means that anything input from the front, such as the guidance from a portable navigation device, will be mixed from the music off the CD or any other source, and you set that up in the settings menu. You can also set the relative levels of the auxiliary inputs so that when you're switching from one to the other you're not suddenly blasted or having to turn the volume up to hear it. One of the other nice little features on this unit is the favourite button. Let's say you enjoy your football and your local team's playing and you're going down the motorway and you're suddenly thinking it's 5:15, I wonder how they're getting on. You can very quickly hit the favourite button to bring up Radio 5 Live, hear the latest results, or whatever source you want to select. Now you can program the favourite button, just hold it in for a couple of seconds and it'll come up and ask you what you want to save as your favourite. Let's put in medium wave. Yep, we'll go medium wave. Say you're on disc. As soon as you hit favourite, it will come up tuner and go straight to medium wave. If we go back to display, because I want to show you the illumination colour options. So we go illumination, again there's other options like the type of scrolling on the screen. Let's go back to illumination, press that. So illumination type 1, which is the default, gives you red here, blue buttons here, classic Alpine. You can go type 2, that gives you green all round. Type 3, actually these remain red, but this is an amber. It probably doesn't show too well, but it's an amber. Or, for VW in particular, Type 4, which is red on all the buttons. Do any of us look at the manual? Not really. Probably why Alpine sensibly have given you a quick reference manual as a book. Put the main one on a CD. Loads of information on it without chopping down too many trees. Well done, Alpine. One thing worth mentioning, especially for those that don't actually ever read the instruction manual, if you're setting up the menu system on here and you go, let's say you're setting up your equalization, you're going mid and you set this up and you say yeah, okay, so you get to a point where you say okay, that's set now, what do I do now, how do I get out of it? Now it's not brilliantly obvious, and in fact look, there's a little button here with like an undo feature. That's what it looks like from the PC. Hit that and it'll go back, and that's how you get back up the menu structure. It's really easy when you know. In common with many other units, this one has a removable panel. The button is down in the lower corner and off it comes. And even for someone as cack-handed as me, putting it back on is nice and easy. And the unit is supplied with a basic plastic carry case just to protect the fascia when you're carrying it around. And so there we are. All in all, a very nice unit. You know what surprises me most? This unit is under £200 retail in the UK. The Alpine CDE-123R. Very nice unit, excellently priced, loads of features. If you needed a reason to upgrade your factory fitted system, you've got it here. Enjoy. See you again soon on 24Hz.